Hey there, and welcome to the Business of Business podcast. Here we are two daughters and their dad, seeking to inspire and educate you to follow your dreams of being in business by teaching you the business of being in business. The good, the bad, the humor are all parts of our unique perspective as an entrepreneurial family. Thanks for joining us. So grab a coffee, turn up the volume. Here we go.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast, Two Daughters and Their Dad. I am your host, Staci J. Dempsey, and the J is very important because it's what brings the joy. Like always, I am here with the dad and the daughter, Jack and Jennifer. Say good morning.
Hey, guys.
Good morning, everybody.
And we are so very, very lucky today to have a very special guest. She is a mom, a wife, an entrepreneur. She is top 1% in Herbal. She's owner of Madi Still Nutrition, author, and just Instagram extraordinaire of all things motivational. We have Mrs. Madi Still. Welcome, Madi.
Hi, great morning or great afternoon. Sometimes the times just blur. I'm like, I don't even know what time it is at this point.
It's okay. It's a good day for sure. So, well, thank you. I know we've already talked a little bit, but once again, thank you for being able and willing to be a part of the podcast. We know you are on site at your nutrition club right now, serving up those shakes. But again, welcome and thank you. So Jennifer and I, we have a pretty good understanding of who you are and whatnot. But for our listeners, we would like for you just to share a little bit about yourself and your business, and Madi Still Nutrition.
Sure, I'd love to. So again, my name is Madi. I am actually a retired school teacher. I was an English teacher, 8th grade English, for 15 years. And about 4 years ago, my husband told me that if I didn't jump and I didn't have the courage right then and there to take the opportunity, that I would probably never jump. So I did. And so happy that I did take the jump to become a full-time entrepreneur, because not a day goes by that I regret it. I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia with my husband of 15 years and my 5th grade son, who's actually sitting beside me virtually learning at the moment. Let's see, what else? I joined Herbal 7 years ago. Actually, my 7th anniversary was just yesterday, so great timing to do this podcast. Multi-level marketing was definitely not for me. I was a teacher. I was just focused on building my family, but things were really hard financially. My husband at that point was laid off from his second position. My husband at that point was unemployed and towing trucks part-time to try to make ends meet. And it just wasn't working. We weren't able to pay our mortgage. We weren't able to pay our bills. Honestly, I think most married couples are right in that $500 to $700 range, where if they could just make an extra $500 to $700, it could probably save their bills and save their marriage. So we were right in that 50% genre of most married couples that are losing that $500, and that $500 can make or break a couple. So when multi-level marketing was presented to me, I had zero interest. Number one, I didn't want to do anything salesy. Number two, I thought it was a scam. Number three, I'm just a skeptic at heart in general of all things. I'm very cautious of my energy, my time, and the people I put in my life. So I was working out. I love the community. I love the products. I was down 25 pounds, but I was nervous to take it into the business aspect. So when someone said, well, you can get a discount on the products if you do the business, which at that time, 7 years ago, there was no discount membership without a business. It was literally just, you had to you were in the business or you weren't. I said, well, discount sounds great. And they were like, you can even get your products for free. I'm like, well, free is for me. So let's go. And next thing you know, my mom was on the product, my husband, my brother-in-law, my cousin, and my best friend. So within my first week, I got my first promotion. Within the first 5 months, I was in the top 6% of the company. And then 3 years later, I was in the top 5%. And then we took a little 3-year hiatus because business is up and down. So we had a lot of downs. And then just this year, we were promoted to the top 3%, actually. 1%'s coming, though. Thanks for saying that and speaking that affirmation over my life. I appreciate it.
That's right.
Top 3% now. of the company, and my life is literally completely transformed. I can't imagine where I would be if I wouldn't have taken that opportunity.
Wow, that was so well said. So you've been in business now. You have Be Still Nutrition. You guys have been open there at that location for 3 years?
2 years, December 16th. Mm-hmm.
2 years. Okay, wow. Kind of what made you decide to, because you could do the Herbalife business, but not necessarily have a brick and mortar shop. So what made you also make the leap to do a brick and mortar as well?
So in 2018, my business suffered one of the hardest years that I had seen as a distributor. I myself wasn't growing mentally, emotionally, physically. My results were declining. I just wasn't connected. I wasn't passionate anymore. I was losing hope. I really wanted to quit at that point. And my husband was like, we need to try something new. We need to, this is the one thing that we haven't done. This is the one thing we haven't tried. We've done social media. We do weight loss challenges. We've done flyers. In 6 years, we've done so much. Let's do this. And I was so against it. I was so afraid to do that because I was determined that I was going to grow my business from home via social media, that was how I was going to climb to the top. And I think that for anybody watching, I think an important takeaway from this is that what you start as a goal and what vision you initially had is never going to be the vision that you're stuck with. You know what I mean? So you don't have to stay stuck in that space. You can move, you can adjust, you can make changes. So I think that I'm on site, you guys. So customers are walking in, like everything is awesome. Everything's great. I'm literally like giving you a tour of my space here.
Love it.
So I had to get out of that mindset that this is what life was going to have to look like for me. And my husband gave me the courage. He said, listen, we've been successful in other ventures. Like, we can do this. And there's literally no other healthy establishment in our community. It's all pizza shops, hoagies, Chinese food. So he was like, let's do this. Oh my gosh, throw up moment, right? When someone said, let's do something that you can't imagine yourself doing, and then you take a leap and you do it. And it's so funny how when the universe is in alignment with what you're supposed to do and who you're supposed to be, how quickly things move. So I was aligned because we literally found the space within like 2 weeks of us saying like, okay, maybe we'll do it. And this space was a former bakery. So it already had everything up to code for the community. Everything. I didn't have to do anything but paint and move in, and I built my bar from scratch because what she had didn't align with what we needed. And we signed the lease, and a day later, my husband was laid off from his job. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is a sign. We shouldn't be doing this. And he said, this is a sign. This is exactly what we're supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to build this place with you, and we're going to do this together. And so he gave me the courage to move forward. And it's been an amazing dream come true. I mean, we have such loyal customers that come in. We have some people that come in every single day, 5-6 days a week. We won Best New Business of Montgomery County. We're making it work. We're learning along the way. And now that we've like made it work and we've learned so much, now we're ready to duplicate and create other spaces too.
That's awesome. That's amazing. So, so as far as like the business side, I know you talked about, obviously things really lined up for you and it was like, okay, like it's amazing that we found this space. But can you share with us a little bit of what some of the challenges that you did? Because I'm assuming that it wasn't all smooth sailing, so, like we're open at a brick and mortar spot. We found the spot. Now everything to get open or any other challenges that you've had in the last almost 2 years as far as, just the business aspect of having to having a brick and mortar spot open, or even just in your organization, any challenges? Because I know a lot of people that are listening, and including, for Jennifer and for Jack and I, there's a lot of challenges around, finding the right people, keeping the right people around you, delegating responsibilities. But is there anything you can share with us as far as what maybe surprised you about the business side of what you're doing?
So I think that it's important that I separate the two, because Be Still Nutrition is its own entity. It's almost, even though Herbalife runs through it, it's almost like running a restaurant. So I'll start with the challenges of Be Still, and then I'll label some challenges of multi-level marketing just in general. But definitely challenges are, if something goes wrong, it's on you. You know, even though you might have a landlord, you know, there are a lot of things that landlords don't do. So having to learn what was our responsibility, and then also having to take responsibility for, you know, the health department stuff. I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't know about inspections. I didn't know about that your water has to be bleached and it has to pass a certain color and the bleach test. And, you know, there were so many things. And thank God we had, you know, other friends in the business that opened a place like this. So they were able to give us a heads up, but you learn from failure. You know, our first inspection where they gave us, you know, a few ticks on our inspection report was how we learned, oh, we have to like have the bleach in the sink and you have to show proof of a color strip. And, oh, you can't have your sink this far away from your wall. And, you know, you have to learn, you have to get the inspection first to be able to learn those things. So I think that was number one. Another definite hardship is that you are the boss. And even though I'm running, my organization is who works with me in this club. So it's my team, my friends. So I think you're good. So I think that like if someone gets sick and calls out, guess who comes in? Me. If somebody goes to the hospital last minute, guess who goes in? Me. So other people can take vacations very easily. I can't, you know, and if I do take a vacation, I have to get all those shifts covered because I'm the one that's primarily here. And now granted, that first year, that was hard. I was literally working every day, 6 days a week. And it was over time of developing leaders, which is a challenge in the multi-level marketing business and the brick and mortar. Developing leaders, creating a culture of if you're not here, it'll run smoothly without you. Creating the energy of the space, that was a challenge for us too. Because there's a certain energy that I have. So a lot of people come to Be Still to see me. A lot of people come to Be Still to be around me and to feel that energy and to be around the cheerfulness and the high exuberance that I have. But not all of my people are like that. So how do we continue that culture? How do we continue that the happiest, healthiest place in Hatfield, which is our motto? Every single person that works a shift, it's like Chick-fil-A. Have you ever like gone to a Chick-fil-A drive-thru and been not happy? No. It's the most, I literally like examine everything they do when I go through their drive-thru. I'm watching how they move. I'm watching how they say things. I'm watching how they respond. Because first of all, if you go to Chick-fil-A as often as my family does, one thing that you'll notice is when you say thank you, do you guys, any ideas what they say back?
My pleasure.
My pleasure. They always say my pleasure. And now I make it a point. Like I want to catch somebody not saying it. So I'm like, thank you. And I'm like waiting for them to say, you're welcome. And it never happens. It is uniform in every Chick-fil-A you go to. And that's what we wanted to create here. That no matter who is working, people will walk out of here satisfied and happy, which means we don't allow toxic energy in our establishment. So we don't allow political conversations while we're here. We don't allow conversations that could be possibly offensive to any of our staff or our customers. And it's the same with, even if nobody is walking in here and it's just us, if someone is displaying toxic negative behavior, we send them home because that literally shifts the vibe of the entire atmosphere, if that makes any sense. So that was definitely some challenges that we faced on the storefront side. And then of course, marketing, God, that is hard. Getting people in the door. And I would consider myself a social media whiz, but it is totally different when you're relying on customers to pay your rent. And with COVID, I think our numbers were something like 75 people a day, like phenomenal. And COVID, we dropped down to like 15 people a day, 20 people a day. So thank God we were barely scraping by. We were still able to make all of our bills, but there went that profit. So having the financial intelligence and having the financial restraint in your bank account to not go out there and just spend money because you're making it. Because business doesn't work like that. You're going to have your ups and you're going to have your downs. And boy, let me tell you, some of our ups that we've had, whoo, I was like, Jesus, this is all money. but then just as fast as you make it, it can go away. So you have to be really, really smart about your money because you just don't know when your customer base is going to change. And then we have to be constantly creative, coming up with new ideas, new recipes, customer appreciation days, a haunted house. We're constantly coming up with new ways of getting people in the door. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. It's fun, but it's exhausting. Just sit here and we are like by ourselves for hours. We can't go out and bring people in, you know, so you're literally just sitting here and it drains your energy. It drains your spirit. It makes you feel like you're failing. So this is my hardest challenge. Staying in the headspace of not only am I enough, I am enough and I am doing enough. It's just the belief in myself, the belief in my team, and the belief that people do value us. But any brick and mortar is going to have slow days, not just Be Still Nutrition. And that, I think a lot of those challenges show up in the multi-level marketing side too. If this isn't aligned right, everything is going to struggle. If I'm not more focused on my people's success than my own, if I'm playing the victim, if I'm pointing fingers and blaming other people rather than realizing that everything is my responsibility 100%, my business starts to fall apart. So my constant goal and my only goal every day is to work on me, work on my body and work on my mind. And once I have those two things in line and I'm good with that, I can manage other people too. Wow.
One of the things I love about what you said, couple things really, but the first one, and you know, it's so true, is learning from failure. I mean, you know, you just having the proper perspective on failure is one of the keys to success. And so it sounds like you've had that. And you have that. The second thing is, you know, sometimes you just have to do it. You know, like you said, you got the space. You knew that there was so much you didn't know, but between your own self-motivation, and it sounds like a pretty cool husband, you know, that was in there with you, you know, you started, you got into it. You know, sometimes I think people hold back because they feel like, well, I don't know enough about some things for me to take that step, or I'm going to wait till I know more until I take that step. And usually those steps never happen, but it's when it's like, okay, I know enough. I know there's still a lot to learn, but I know enough to get the doors open, and then we'll go from there. So sometimes it's just start it. You just got to go.
I started to cut you off. I think it would lend really well to what you just said. And there's two things I always tell my people. Number one is there's no such thing as failure. There's lessons that you've learned. And then number two is procrastination kills all dreams. Mm-hmm. And I have so many people that they're constantly listening to personal development and they're constantly taking notes, but they're not implementing anything. And it's like, you're never going to be successful if you don't just take that step and you don't just jump. You don't know what it's going to look like. Now, I don't tell my people jump and quit your job. You know, there's a fine tuning to that. You know, I always say you should have double your salary for 6 months in a row before you even consider, or at least have matched your salary for 6 months in a row before you decide to go full time in a multi-level marketing business. But you'll never know if you can do that if you're not just doing it. You know, you have to, and even my son, you know, he plays baseball. He's in a rec league and travel baseball. And last night I noticed, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. He's looking at me like, what's she about to say? Last night I noticed that he's not swinging at the ball. You know, he is a phenomenal base runner. So he steals bases. He can steal home. He's fast. He's savvy, right? But he's not swinging. He's waiting to get walked. And I called him out on it last night. And I said, can I just ask you a question? Are you afraid to swing? Are you feeling like you're not confident because your hitting average is down this season? And he's like, yeah, I don't know how to get my confidence up. So I said, you're waiting for them to walk you. You're watching you have a good eye on the ball, but you're not taking risks to swing. And he's like, because what if I miss? And I'm like, here we go. Personal development time. Let's go. This is about life. You know, and I'm like, listen, you're never going to hit the ball if you don't swing at it. If you're just waiting for the ball to come to you, you're waiting for opportunity to come to you, you're never going to succeed. You'll never know if you're going to be a phenomenal batter if you're waiting for the ball. And it's the same with business. You know, my people are never going to know if they're successful if they don't have that conversation with somebody. My people are never going to know if they're going to be successful at opening a nutrition club if they don't just do it. Get the business loan, open the spot, like do it. So thanks for saying that. I think you and I are just in line with that.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing too, when you talked about, developing people, and I think, again, that's one of the commitments you need to make as you open a business and start a business, because one of the challenges or one of the things that you need most for a successful business is people, and one of the biggest challenges to operating a business is people. So having that commitment to developing people, developing leaders, because when you develop people, then you begin to develop your culture that you talked about, and then culture will run a business absence of management. So that way you can step away ultimately and say, you know what, I can step away for vacation, or I can step away because I've built a culture that the business will do just fine because of my investment in other people. So, so those are some real nuggets that you've shared with everybody.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too that I think it's important to point out that obviously you are Herbalife, and it's all about personal development, proper nutrition, getting your 20% of exercise in and whatnot. And when you work on yourself, then everything else can flourish. Everything else can really be in aligned. And that's kind of one of the things that I've noticed that my dad has always done, that, for forever I can remember, once he decided to make the decision, 35 years ago, to exercise on a regular basis, eat right, fill his mind with positive, motivational, content, and just being committed to his craft and whatnot, everything else really seemed to flourish. The business flourished. He was able to, bring people in to duplicate himself. So I think that's really important for, people that want to be in business for themselves, to realize that as you are working on your business, that you are your walking billboard, no matter what industry you're deciding to be in. And then I think that sometimes, I think maybe more so for women, but, it's easy to try to make everything else around us okay and put ourselves last on the list. And so I think it's really, really important for entrepreneurs to hear that working on yourself is the best thing that you can do for your business every single day. And that's, your personal development, your nutrition, your health, putting that as a priority will help other things fall in line as well.
Can I say something with that, Stace?
Yeah. So
I was going to say, Jim Rohn always says, work harder on yourself than you do in your business. And I think that doesn't just go for business. Boy, doesn't that go with motherhood too? I mean, how many times are we putting our spouses or our children before our own needs? They always say on the plane, you got to put your mask on before you put on anybody else's. And I can't tell you how many people are neglecting themselves so much, and their business is tanking and they can't figure out why. And it's because you're depleted. You have no wine left in your grape. You've literally dried yourself out. So my first hour of the day is a power hour for myself. I work out. I do my personal development. I do my devotions, my journaling, my affirmations, because I have to fill my own tank before I can even begin to think of filling anybody else's. So I love that you pointed that out, because I can't imagine giving and giving and giving and not filling my own tank first.
Jen, you look like you wanted to ask a question, and
This is powerful, isn't it?
so good.
Fill it up. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it.
Yeah.
I think another great point to point out is when we talk about people wanting to be an entrepreneur, you ask the question, well, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? And a lot of the time the response is freedom, freedom, freedom. And what you don't realize is that when you first start a business, for the first several years, you have absolutely no freedom, because like you said, you're in your business more than you're at home. And we just had this conversation on Saturday. I'm deep into a color correction, and I have a brand new assistant, and she walked over to me and she said, I just want to let you know that we're out of paper towels. And I'm right, because I'm that person, right? Like, we need light bulbs, we need this, we need that. So after the day was done, I pulled her to the side. I said, listen, while I'm with a client, this is your boss doing hair, and all that other stuff can be, write me a note, tell me when I'm done. But, you're that person all the time that they come to. So that definitely needs to be molded to know the difference between that. And another thing is when you start a business, the clients that are coming into your space are coming for you. I mean, that's so huge, right? Like, it's a beautiful thing that I've known clients for 10 years and I no longer do their hair, but someone else on my team does their hair. But the original way that they even became your client was you. So if I wasn't here, the first question, well, where's Jen? Why isn't she here, right? Because people are coming into my business because they're drawn to me. They have a relationship with me, a connection with me. So you are your brand all of the time, whether you are working with that client, you're at the food store, you're out with your family. I am J Faith Hair Studio 24/7, no matter where I am. So that's a huge responsibility to have when you're a business owner.
So we're going to go ahead and take a break. And Madi, when we come back, I'd like to hear who your top three influencers are to your success. And then we'd also like you did touch on it a little bit, kind of how you do promotion for your business. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break.
Dempsey Weiss & Associates is a multi-line insurance agency successfully meeting the insurance and financial needs of the landscaping, business contractor, and agricultural community in southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania since 1989. To learn more, visit us at www.dempseyweiss.com. J Faith Hair Studio, centrally located in southern New Jersey. J Faith Hair Studio is the place to go to become the best version of yourself. Confidence in your appearance is always important, and a great hairstyle is an absolute necessity. Visit jfaithhairstudio.com to book your appointment today.
Welcome back, everybody, and we are still here with Madi Still and Jack and Jennifer and your host here, Staci J. So, Madi, what have been your top three, or who are your top three influencers to the success of your business?
During the break, I was sitting here and I was going, oh my God, that's such a hard question. And I think that my answer is going to be like, it almost going to sound foolish, but here we go. So top three influencers, my mother, number one. My mom was a single mom my entire life, and I learned everything I know about resilience from my mom. I've seen my mom get knocked down. I've seen her pick herself back up after some really dark, lonely, scary times. So I would definitely say my mom. I could cry actually almost talking about it because I learned so much from her about not stopping and just having courage to stand back up when you get knocked down. So definitely my mom. My other influencer is my own son. Everything I do is for my child. He's my biggest why. Actually, probably him and my husband. They motivate me to stand up, to be okay. They motivate me to take care of myself, especially my husband, because nobody takes care of me. Nobody. I'm taking care of everybody in my life. I'm the friend that everybody comes to for advice. I'm the speaker. I'm the tech whiz. I'm the one who's running the organization. I do so much. So who takes care of the leader? And I would definitely say it's him. And then I would definitely say, as far as influencers, I'm like torn between Oprah and my mentor. Is that weird? Like my mentor, my upline, right? Who just influences me. She's 14 years in Herbal as a business. She's from Ecuador, speaks barely any English. Well, she speaks English now, but like when she first came, thickest accent you can possibly imagine. And the struggle of like, she was cleaning houses and just so poor, checking that to see if her car was repossessed every single day, to seeing her now in the top 1% of the company. I mean, it is so inspiring to see her work. But also, I'm sorry, mother. That's what I call her, Oprah mother. Like, I just listen to her and I'm like, bucket list is to meet Auntie Oprah one day and just sit with her and just talk to her, because, I mean, you want to talk about tragedy, triumph coming from tragedy, someone that really did persist past pain, someone who really did make her life out of nothing. I would definitely say she's such an influencer of mine. I listen to an Oprah podcast at least once a week. So I'm always quoting Oprah to my team because, you know, she just influences me to just be better. And I don't even know her.
Right.
Like, that's crazy to me.
That's great stuff.
Well, let me jump in here because
Yeah.
one of the, in talking about, these influencers in your life, I mean, one of the things that you said that I think is, needs repeating when you were talking about your son and your husband, and you made the comment, they are my why. And that is so important, I think, for business owners or anything that, you're trying to aspire to or achieve in, is to have a strong why. Because you're out there and you know how to do your business. You know how to build a team and in your marketing, and you know how to do a lot of things. But when the headwinds come, and they always do, right? Headwinds are always going to come at us in either personal, business. There's always going to be something. Well, the how you do things will not always stand up to those headwinds, but your why will. When you look at what's my why am I doing this, that will penetrate those headwinds to keep you moving forward. And so I always encourage, whether it's a salesperson or an entrepreneur, the first thing you need to do is write down a why, a powerful why you really want this to work. And if you do that and you refer back to that when the headwinds come, rather than your skills and your how, you're gonna make it happen. That why is very important.
Madi, how do you go about promoting your business? I know you mentioned that you are a internet whiz and or social media whiz and whatnot. So what are the ways in which you market your business or promote your business right now?
So I just want to say, like, even though I'm like a social media whiz, it's not like I have 100,000 followers. Like, so I'm just like, I'm not like Insta famous, but I will say though that social media is definitely my thing, especially Instagram, because on your Instagram story, you get to just be yourself. So you'll see that my feed is definitely more like the top 3 things or 4 things that my life is a part of. So God, family, myself, and being healthy. Those are like the top 4 things that I'm about. So you'll see a lot of posts that are geared toward those things. But my story is where I come alive. My Instagram story is where I get to promote products, but in a way that's authentic to me. My story is where I get to have more fun. It's where I get to relate to my audience. Hopefully quotes and things that I say resonate with my audience, and they, feel something when they see that. That's where the connection is. And I always say my number 1 daily method of operation for running my business is building relationships. So I use social media to build relationships with people. So one of the first things I do when someone comes in to Be Still and they're brand new, they have like a little contact card that they fill out. And it's just like their name, their phone number, their email, and like, are they interested in any additional services? But whether they say yes or no, I send them a message and I just say, hey, thanks so much for coming in to Be Still. Here's our hours. We just want to say thank you for making our day a little bit brighter. We hope we made your day a little bit brighter too. So building relationships, they'll always remember that the owner of this place personally messaged them and said, hey, thanks for coming in. And then on social media, on our Be Still page, I send out messages every day to people. Hey, this is the owner of Be Still. I just want to say, I hope you're having a great day. Thanks for following the healthiest, happiest place in Hatfield. It's just a little personal message just to say, hey, like, someone's here and she's thinking about you today. And, people are sad right now. Like COVID and everything that's happening, people are sad, people are stressed. And if I can just send a message of hope out once a day to people, like, that's all I do. I don't ask them to come in. I don't offer them a discount or a coupon, or I'm not bugging them. Like, my goal every day is to make people feel better about themselves and to make people feel brighter about the life that they're living right now. So that's what I choose to do with my social media interaction. That's why I post the funniest and craziest things about my family and my son. And I want people to laugh. I want people to feel good. I want people to say, I like going to her page because I just feel good. It's not toxic. It's not inundated with politics and, so many things that people are talking about right now. I choose not to do those things because there's already enough of it on social media. So that's definitely one way I grew my business. I was doing promotions and ads for Be Still, but our Facebook page was hacked. So I literally have 0 connection to Facebook, our Facebook page. So that's going to have to stop. So we have to start thinking of other crafty ways. We also rely on our customers to do check-ins. So we give like $1 off if they check in on Facebook. And we really rely on that because that $1 check-in, it exposes us to their circle of influence. So if we get 10 people to check in on Facebook, we're exposed to who knows how many people from those 10 Facebook profiles. So a lot of our business has grown from that as well.
Wow, that's so good about the social media and having clients check in and tag and whatnot. I know there's a nutrition club that just opened up down the street from our office, and I don't know who the owner is. I mean, I know her name is Lisa now, but I've probably gone there out of a month. I've probably gone there at least 15 times just because I want to be supportive. And same thing. I mean, whether she gave me the $1 off or not, I would have gone ahead and checked in and definitely shared on the social media. But that's definitely a great way that I think people forget about to get their business out there. Were there any special ways that you needed to finance your business? Because that's one of the topics that we have talked about before, where people think that, some people think that, like, I have to go get this big loan from the bank, and how am I going to go about that? And some of the suggestions that we gave were, reaching out to family with what your business plan is and, how it would work and whatnot. Simply, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast, not leaving your paying job right now, but keeping the income until, there's a better time to take the leap. And so simply saving your money, to start your dream, start your business. So was there any special financing? Like, was there any way that you had to finance your business in any way?
So we are probably one of the rare breeds of people that chose not to do any kind of credit cards or loans. My husband and I came from a past where we were in so much credit card debt. We were very young and dumb when we got married. So we financed everything. We wanted furniture, boom, open up a credit line. We wanted this, we wanted that. And then my husband lost his job. And before you know it, we're in foreclosure on our home, $30,000 worth of credit card debt. I mean, we had to literally pull ourselves out of the gutter. So when we opened Be Still, we vowed that we would not rely on any type of financing for that. So we saved all of our money for months up to that point. So by the time we opened, we had, I think, I want to say it was about $10,000 to make it the way we wanted it. Could we have opened with way less? Absolutely. By the way, I just want to make sure I make that known. You don't really need a lot to open a nutrition club. You need a bar and you need products and you need water and ice. That's it. So what we wanted to create, though, was an atmosphere that felt like you were home. We wanted to create, like, you walk in and you feel like you're in someone's home. So I took it upon myself to do a lot more, but we paid every single cent in cash, because for us, we wanted to not only avoid more debt, but we wanted that pride of, oh, wow, like, we saved for this and we implemented it and we did it ourselves. So I would say that if you have to take out a small business loan, just make sure it's a low interest rate. Make sure you don't have additional debt that's piling in another area that you're going to forget about. And make sure it's something that's affordable, because that monthly payment is going to creep up on you whether you like it or not. And we have a very mathematical formula that we use for how you're going to pay all of your bills too. So, if our bills come to $2,000, we're dividing that by how many days we're open. We're dividing that by half our price of our normal combo, and that's how many people we need in those doors every single day. So we were very strategic in, this is how many people we need every day, X amount of times a month. This is how much product you're going to need. We're also really not big people on using a lot of extras, because we want to duplicate ourselves multiple times with other spaces. So we want to teach people you don't need a lot to maintain this space. You don't need to do a lot of the syrups and the sugars, and not to mention all those extra additives aren't exactly the healthiest thing either. So we're very conscious of what we put in our product, but we're very set on, like, the size cups and the budget, and it's the same every single month. And you have to be really consistent with that. You have to be a numbers person if you're going to operate a brick and mortar. And, you have to make it fair for everybody. And you have to make sure that the people that you're paying are understanding of, this is the pay, this is what it is. You have to have those conversations, because God, business can tank at any second. And are you prepared with your lowest flat rate to still be able to pay your bills? I hope that answered the question.
You more than answered the question. And I'm so glad to hear that, the way you guys chose to go about it was, saving your money, because that I feel like is something that is just really lost in our world nowadays, that just simply like, let's save our money. And let's not spend money on things right now so that we can have a bigger picture. We can fulfill the vision. And that might take time. That might take 6 months. That might take a year. For Jennifer, that was right. Like, that might take a year and a half. But, like, the reason that Jennifer could even open her shop when she did was because she had money in the bank. When she quit her, the salon she had worked at for 10 years, she couldn't do hair anywhere in that area for 6 months. And so the only reason that she could survive and the only reason she could open her shop and live and reinvest back into her business was because she had money saved. And so I feel like I'm so glad to hear that that's the way that you guys went about it, because I think that can be the road less traveled for many people, because they just want to get the money and they'll figure it out later. And also just how mathematically, like, this is what it is, how it has to be every single month. It's to be very diligent in that when you get into business, especially if you don't come from a business background, just kind of understanding, like, that's the way you have to keep it for it to make
I was going to say,
sense.
I think you're right, Staci. We live in a very like microwave society where people need to have everything right now. Whereas when you are broke, as broke as Derek and I were, you have to really teach yourself that you don't need to have everything right now. You don't have to purchase it today, walk away from it, go back in a few days, see if you still feel the same way about it. We followed a lot of Dave Ramsey's plan for getting out of debt. We were very strict and very focused on that. And we didn't even have like an emergency savings account up until, when we opened Be Still. So, and then, oh my gosh, I literally just lost my train of thought. That's so embarrassing. There was something you literally just said that I was going to comment on, and I just lost it.
No, we were just talking about saving for the, actually saving your money to be able to open your business and finance your business. That's the real key word, is let's save our money so that we can finance our business.
And we were talking about overhead cost, being very careful with your overhead. If you can cut corners and find better deals, and if you can make things yourself, even down to like, thank God my husband is so handy because he built the bar. We almost got divorced over that, by the way. We fought so much over that bar, but thank God, I have a husband that's handy. My father-in-law owns a paint company. So what resources, who do you know? Can you barter services? We do that all the time. My son wanted private lessons with a batting coach. Do you know how expensive batting coaches are? But his wife loves Be Still. So I said, can we barter services? Can you coach my son privately 1 hour a week, and I'll trade a gift certificate every week for your wife? Done deal. So just being smart about utilizing your resources and keeping your overhead low can keep people in business even longer.
Yeah, you're right. It's that attention to detail. Everything matters, especially the small thing, because at the end of the day, when you see people who are struggling or ultimately fail, it was never the big thing that you kind of knew you could plan for. It was making bad little decisions over the course of time that ended up getting them in trouble. And I really appreciate what you're saying there, of really paying close attention to the little things, the details, the daily numbers. That is so critical to business success. And something you said earlier, and I know Jennifer can relate to this, you had margin in your business. You created a savings, a margin there, so that when COVID hit, you had something to fall back on to keep the doors open. And so I know, again, Jennifer did a great job with that, in her business. So when she got shut down, well, I guess there was a little bit of panic right in the beginning, but it wasn't a financial, she knew she could pay her bills, for some period of time. It was just the unknown. But that margin really takes a lot of pressure. Because again, we know something's going to happen. We just know it. There's going to be some downturn somewhere along the way. And so being prepared for that is critical.
So as we kind of start wrapping things up, and I know Jennifer and I were talking about this a little bit with you before we started recording, because we definitely want to do its own podcast on this topic. But First, what do you enjoy the most, and what do you enjoy the least about being an entrepreneur? And I guess more importantly, how do you see balancing it all? Because I know that certainly Jennifer and I have people in our circle. Jennifer and I talk about it so often between being in business, being a mom, for me, continuing to stay in a healthy marriage, and a happy marriage. There's just a balancing act. So what do you love most? What do you not care about? Like, what's the least favorite thing? And then what's your kind of view on balancing it all?
Okay. What I love most about entrepreneurship is the freedom. Time and freedom is priceless for me. Even if our check is down, I'll be real, like our check this month was down like $2,000 from what we've normally seen in the past. September was just a rocky month for a lot of people. And even with that, it is worth being able to have my son virtually learn next to me every single day. I don't have to figure out, am I virtually teaching? Am I in class hybrid teaching in a different district than him? If I want to close my shop, I close my shop. I'm the boss. I'm the entrepreneur. Like, that for me is everything. If my son is sick, he takes priority. If somebody can work for me, great. If not, sorry, shop is closed today. And I never really have to do that, thank God, because I literally have the most amazing team you can possibly imagine. But that for me, time and freedom is, it's just so priceless for me. Being able to see his baseball games every single day. I don't miss anything. That's just everything for me. The least is the up and down of your money, hands down. I don't mean for that to sound superficial at all, but when you're getting a stable check every month, it's coming. You don't have to worry. It's coming every 2 weeks. Cool. But when you're like, oh boy, like the amount of work you do is the money that's produced, and the investment you make into other people is how much higher your money goes. That's probably my least favorite part of entrepreneurship is that aspect. You can't necessarily just coast for a month. When I was teaching, I could watch Netflix, I could chill, I could hang out. You can't do that all the time as an entrepreneur. You don't move your feet, you don't eat. So that for me is really tough. And then as far as balance is concerned, I don't believe in the word balance at all. I don't think that there is any such thing as balancing your life, your entrepreneurship, your parenting, anything. I'll give you guys this analogy. If you're playing tug of war, you're pulling on both sides. You're never really giving 100% to either side. You're constantly just giving that 50%. So if I'm trying to run a business and I'm watching a movie with my son, I'm giving 50% to my business because he's probably asking me questions, telling me to put my phone away, or I'm trying to pay attention to the movie. So I'm giving 50% to whoever is messaging me, and then I'm giving him 50%, and he deserves 100%. He sacrifices enough as a son of entrepreneurs. So I don't believe in that. I believe in giving 100% at multiple times of the day. So in the morning, I'm doing 100% just to me. Throughout the day, it's 100% I'm working at Be Still. Even my son being here, he's so independent and he's so well, I don't want to use the word trained, but he's so on his own that he can manage school. He can do everything on his own. And then when I get home, 100% about him. I've done my business for the day. I've done my follow-up. I've talked to my customers. I've talked to my team. I've talked to the customers walking in the door. I've helped all my clients for the day. 4 o'clock hits, I'm a mom. And then I'm a mom for the rest of the night. And then 9 o'clock hits, you go upstairs, you can watch Netflix for an hour, but now I'm a wife. So from 9 to 11, I get to be his wife. I get to listen to him about his day and pour into him, and that's it. And sometimes, of course, that's broken up. Like 9 to 10, if I have a call, I'm on a call. So now I have to rearrange when I'm his wife. But I just believe that you have to give 100% to whatever it is that you're focused on in that moment. And you can't split that time with other things. So you almost have to schedule quality time with your husband and schedule quality time with your son. And it just sounds awful, but our life just works better and everybody's happier when I'm able to do that.
100%. I completely agree with you about the scheduling. We have a family calendar and it's literally broken down by day and by hour of, when John and I spend time together, when we're at work, when we go to the gym, down to like when we feed the kids, like, I mean, and it's, everybody's on the same page. And so, to
And
some
you have
people,
to make those times non-negotiables too. Don't you agree too, Staci? Like Sundays are non-negotiable family day. So somebody messaged me yesterday and was like, hey, like, I miss you. I would love to hang out. You want to do lunch today? I'm like, no, sorry. Sundays are non-negotiable for family.
100%. Yes. And also if you have to rearrange that time, like you said, like, if I have to, if I have to work late, then I need to rearrange that time that I would normally spend with my kids or spend with my husband or spend wherever I was meant to be spending it. I have to rearrange that somewhere else and make up for it. But I think to the outer world, it sounds a little crazy to have to schedule everything out, but it makes life feel so less hectic. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody knows what's about to happen, what the plan is. And to your point, there's no expectation for me to be anything than what I have to be in that time.
I love that.
And that has been a complete game changer. And we could go on a whole nother podcast about that topic. But
I need to speak to the men out there. A little suggestion. Probably not a good idea to like look at your watch and say, "Oh, sorry, honey, it's 8:30. I'm not your husband for another half an hour." I probably wouldn't verbalize that, but I get your point, and I'm on board with you.
That's funny. Yeah.
You're right. Don't say that. But
I wouldn't say that to him. It's just, in the back of my mind. Like, okay.
Exactly.
It's
just
time.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, Madi, thank you. Honestly, wholeheartedly, thank you for just being who you are. Just everything that you put out into the universe is just, it's helpful. It's motivational. It's relatable. Everything down to, you sharing your tough days to blessing us all with 647 bread.
Amen.
Amen to 647 bread. Sharing all the things that you do as far as the Herbalife community and just getting healthy and happy and and honestly just sharing your life and everything you've said today on the podcast, I think is going to be so helpful to our listeners because these are real life things. Like we're living in it. It's happening. How do we best maneuver through all of it, and do it happy, be happy while we're doing it. So thank you for spending your time with us and your energy with us. We really, really are so grateful. So Jennifer.
Fangirl, what can I say? I'm a fan. Sweet. So let's make sure all of our listeners can find you on social media so they can experience what we get to experience.
All right. So my Instagram handle is at Madi Still 247. So at MADISTILL 247. And then our business page for our storefront is at Be Still Nutrition. That's it. All one word, at Be Still Nutrition.
Awesome. And we'll be sure to link everything in the description box for our podcast so everybody will be able to find it. You'll also, when this goes live, they'll be able to find it on our Dempsey Weiss & Associates Facebook page. We'll certainly be promoting it on all of our Instagrams and whatnot. So we will make sure that we get to point everyone to you. So to all of our listeners, thank you for joining us today. Be sure to leave a comment, some feedback. Make sure that you link with Madi. And we want to thank you guys again for listening. So until we can be together again, please be kind to each other and most importantly, be kind to yourselves. Thanks. Bye-bye.
We want to thank you for listening today. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a positive review. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Dempsey Weiss & Associates and J Faith Hair Studio.